be so beneficial, and not just to people with mental health issues or developmental disability, but our elderly people also. So I ask on behalf of the organizations that I represent that y'all strongly consider a favorable finding and bring this to our county. I mean, we're a large county, and there are a lot of people that don't have transportation, and we really need to step up and provide that service for them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions for the committee? Seeing none, thank you very much.
Great job.
Item 2 is review and discussion of items for the August 2nd board meeting. We'll start those. 8.1 is the financial recap that'll be given by Don on Tuesday with updated numbers. Any questions for Don today?
I do. Okay, so it's about to be August 2nd, and this may be something you answer. We're actually 60 days behind in getting our financials. In the private world, you can go pull them. Doesn't mean they're necessarily, there's still bills out there that haven't come in or hadn't come in, but it bothers me going forward that I sure would like to see year end before we're already into another year. Do you understand what I'm at? I mean, is there a way that we can maybe go forward, not necessarily for Tuesday night, but
To have May and June.
Or have a half month or something, because I'm looking at these numbers and I'm having to make decisions, but the last information I have is dated May 30th, and I don't even know if we've met our goals, received our I don't know. I don't know how to say it, but our expense. I'd like to see more updated information, and I'm hoping with that new computer system that we could get things a little faster, or at least an unreconciled one. I just think we're making decisions with.
And again, some of this, we're still getting invoices from vendors that go back to April. And I'll say this is E911 that they don't get till June. So we're still getting revenue. So right now, I mean, I can show where we're at the end of June.
You can show actual.
It won't be actual because we still got a lot of things to put in.
But still be relevant to this moment.
But it would be like where we are to date.
It'd be where you are to date.
Right. I mean, that gives you an idea.
It gives you an idea, but like I said, we've still got a lot of information that's got to come in to make adjustments. That could be huge.
Right. But if we don't have a clue where we are.
And I guess that's what I'm saying. I understand sometimes there's those that reconcile it back to the month the bill came in, and then there's those that just put it in the month that it came in. So I understand those concepts. I just feel like I don't have enough recent material. I mean, having May 30th is about the August 2nd, and it just runs a little behind in my personal. I just wish there was a way we could either have a half month or an unreconciled.
Can't we have June, like today, if this is August meeting, couldn't we have June? It wouldn't be reconciled, and it wouldn't be a closed out month.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's not closed out yet. I can show you where we're at. There's going to be questions, and then there's going to be answers that I'm going to be able to say, well, like before, we haven't got the lost in yet. I'm still waiting. That'll come in tomorrow. So I'll know more tomorrow, because that's $750,000 that's going to hit that year.
Right. But you would have those things that are not there, or are there.
Or forecast what you see coming.
Right.
Well,
especially if it's regular. Or
I mean, you cannot forecast some things. You're not going to know.
Right. But everybody gets, you know where your checkbook is today.
That's, I guess I'm asking. I just would like
Just
more
where,
of a real world.
Just where the checkbook is today.
Where we
are. And we know there's going to be stuff, but.
I mean, cash is cash. That's not going to change.
But you can give us an update where we stand,
Cash
unaudited,
yes.
Exactly. Okay, that's what she's requesting.
I'd like a little more.
Yes.
I can bring that.
Thank you. All righty, we'll go into item 8.2, WYMA Enterprises LLC, be a consideration of proposed memorandum MOU. We're going to call on Andy Camp.
Good afternoon. How are you all today?
Good.
Well, thank you. It's always exciting when I have the chance to come and talk to you about an existing business in Carroll County that's expanding, and that's what this is in front of you. You have an MOU, or a Memorandum of Understanding, that talks about a project that Ditech is working on. So let me tell you a little bit about Ditech first. It's a third-generation tool and die making company that was started by Tom and Gerald Wisachinski. Started in Carrollton in 1987, and they have been recognized for quality automotive-style dies in the Southeast region. They actually work with quite a bit of the automotive OEMs through the Southeast. They've expanded into a new plant in '97, and then they've also added a second plant in 2000. Today, Ditech employs over 175 people, including 25 journeymen in 2 plants that consist of 128,000 square feet of manufacturing, with 60,000 dedicated to stamping and the remaining for assembly and warehouse space. So serving automotive OEMs like BMW, Ford, Honda, Mercedes, Nissan, and Toyota, and they also work with Freightliner. But that's not all they do. They also do some parts for major manufacturers of office furniture, garage doors, lighting, and appliances. So most people are familiar with Ditech. They're a great homegrown story. And what you have in front of you is, in that MOU, is a request for a bond for title, which would be a 10% phase-in of those taxes for the expansion, which is going to be a little over $6.5 million, which is almost entirely in real estate. So the building, as we like to say, it doesn't pick up and move. And at 90,000 square feet of new building, and then also parking lot for employees. They've been doing so great. If you drive by there sometimes during the day, they've had to overflow a little bit. So it will help resolve that challenge they've had, as well as some loading docks. All of this for continued success as they've continued to pick up some business. We're very fortunate to have them coming before you with this, and I'd love to answer any questions that you have. Believe in the MOU, there are a few details about the job creation or retention, as well as what that investment would look like. Oh, and it is being done next to their adjacent plant in Carrollton.
That's what I was going to ask you.
Okay, yes.
And they are parking in the street, yes, we've all seen that. They
Yes.
have overflow. In layman's term, when you go through this and reading through and everything, this is a standard vanilla MOU that we're requesting, correct?
Yes, sir. It may have a little bit of a different flow to it because in the past, there have been other firms that put it together. Because of the way that the bond is being done, where they're also receiving a tax-exempt bond issuance, they went with bonds counsel rather, as opposed to bringing in someone specifically for the bond for title. So it may flow just a little bit, but having read this one and others, it's very standard language, as well as it has all of the typical provisions for the ability to end it if they choose to do so, or the ability to prorate that savings if they underperform. Clawback is what some people refer to it as.
Mm-hmm.
So they're accountable for what their commitment is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just so, Johnson and number of these, this one is a hair bit different. I want to point out the difference thing. You're used to seeing, in Schedule B.
Can you use your
it's
microphone?
feedback.
Really bad? Oh.
Yeah.
You're used to seeing in the Schedule B a number of jobs that will be obtained. This one is different because it's using some federal bond money, and the way the federal bond money structures it is for retained jobs. So they are retaining or creating 58 jobs. Now, those could be existing jobs that they're just going to retain. So it's a different type of funding mechanism. That's why it's different in your Schedule B. Usually you'll see they'll add 125 jobs or they'll add so many jobs. This one's different. They're just to retain or create that many. So their aggregate amount has to stay at that for those 58 jobs. And those are within the 175 that they currently have. Is that right? That they currently have.
So you're not adding any jobs?
Now, they've indicated, I think they're going to add some.
Yes, to clarify that a little bit, and thank you, that's spot on. Because it is a different bond structure, and we wanted one MOU, it says 58 retained or created or retained. Their commitment to us is to create 15 new. So 15 net new is what they had approached us with. For the simplicity of having one MOU that we could all utilize, that's why we've gone this route. Because of this there's two bonds, and I'm sorry, that these bonds are not anything they're not like general obligation bonds. They're paper.
Yeah, and that's, I don't care about the bonds. I guess our issue is jobs.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
so I want to know the net number.
They're going to create 15 new jobs.
There's going to be what?
They'll create 15 new jobs.
15 new
That's-
jobs.
At least.
That's not the commitment in the MOU, but they have committed to it. It's just not reflected in the MOU because of the way the financing is structured and the federal bonds are structured.
How do they prorate it then, according to jobs? How is it prorated? I mean, there's no way to,
Be able to answer that. For how they're prorating the
Yeah.
jobs, they have to stay at that 175.
so really all it secures is no layoffs, really, it doesn't.
Yes, sir, and that's a good thing, too.
It is.
So,
Just making sure I'm clear.
yes, and they've continued to grow quite a bit over the years. So I think, although history doesn't indicate any future performance, we've certainly seen that company start very small and grow to a very, very powerful industry. So,
And what y'all should know as well is Dytek has never asked for it before. They started and went wrong without this.
Right.
And so I believe from my discussions with them is the one reason the Carroll Development Authority was really behind it is because they have never come to the table before, even though the job structure is a little different than normal. Now, they're borrowing $7.2 million, but they're only debating $6,750,000 of that. Okay, because they were doing some refinancing themselves, but, so the abatement amount is the $6,750,000.
and this is almost entirely in real estate, in the building, actually exactly the building. And one of the things is the site. The site is a very challenging place to develop. If you drive by there, you've seen, you know it climbs up a hill, so we've got to grade that down, as well as some other things. So they came to us when they identified this gap, and it was an opportunity for us to secure the project at that location and help defray some of the.
Okay, well, since this isn't clear like it normally is, let me make sure I'm clear, okay? On the 175, is that current jobs, total
Yes,
jobs?
that's their current
with
employment.
That's current employment. So you're going to add, during this period of time, 15 jobs.
Well, they are going to add.
They are going to
Yes,
add.
they are going to add 15 jobs. The way that the structure of the MOU is only drafted the way it is with the 58 retained. We're actually getting more because they're committing to retain 58 as opposed to just the 15 new that we would have received had we written it the other way. So in a lot of ways, we expanded the reach of the commitment from the company. But yes, there'll be 15 new. To get the incentive of the tax exempt bond issuance that is done through the authority as well, they had to commit to also, beyond that, to retain 58. That's the federal program, so that's why it's mirrored in the MOU.
So when it comes around, it should be a total of 190 employees.
It should.
That's in year 3.
Year 3.
Year 3, okay.
It phases
Okay.
in over time.
I'm just trying to understand.
Yeah, and
no,
since it was
good question.
structured different, I wanted to make sure y'all understood the difference, because it's not like a normal city.
But one thing, Andy, I do appreciate y'all working with our local. We've had challenges from the city that's, question, we're always looking at bringing new companies in. We've been able to allow Southwire and several of them to expand and help them, and I appreciate y'all taking the time to work with our local people that committed to Carrollton for a long period of time.
Well, thank you. That is a big commitment of
Yeah.
our organization, and this is just an example of some of the meetings that we have with our industries. This may have been something we may not have known that challenge existed, and the potential for us to lose the expansion.
And I guess they had the opportunity to move somewhere.
That's right.
Yeah,
There's
okay.
always opportunities.
Yeah. Okay.
Are there any other questions?
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Seeing none. Thank you.
Thank y'all for your time.
Andy. We'll call on Cynthia Day for revenue application certificates, item 8.3.
The hospital authority, if y'all recall, we have done a number of bond issues for them. In January, we did some refinancing on their 2008 bonds. The rates have come down enough that the hospital authority is very interested in Tanner Medical Center in refinancing some 2010 bonds. So, since the question came up last time, Gabe and I got prepared this time. They have a total aggregate that they have borrowed of approximately $164 million. And so this is no new money. It's just refinancing, and what you're refinancing is $42,500,000. And so what y'all will have in front of you Tuesday night is you've got two resolutions in the contract. The one resolution is to give the authority to approve the contract that you have. Okay, and so in the contract, in the resolution, it sets out what the original aggregate for the 2010 bonds were, which was the $77,945,000. And then it also explains in one of the whereas paragraphs all the 08 refinancing that we did. And then it goes down into the section. So what you are giving approval to do to this resolution is to approve the contract and giving the chairman the authority to execute it, and anything that comes up later in terms of changes, it won't be, the aggregate is set, but there may be paragraph changes or language changes, but the numbers won't change in terms of the aggregate. You're also giving permission for the chairman and myself to do the validation of the bonds for the county side, which is the petition that's filed and the answers and the verification of those answers. And then you're also giving approval to finish and execute and present the preliminary official statement, what we call the POS, which goes out to the investors. So that's what that resolution will do. And then the contract itself is allowing for, this is the contract between the hospital authority and the county. And what it does is it goes through the terms. And if y'all recall, one of the things that I had asked for, and we've continued to get and have it in this one, is because we had an issue with being able to finish our audit because of the hospital audits being late. They have, for at least I think the last 2 years, gotten it to us the 1st of December because we had included that in our contract, and we have it again. Now, in here, it's 180 days. Which puts it into December, but they are committed to getting it to us early enough that it doesn't delay the county's audit, which it has in the past. So if they get it to us in the time frame that it's here, it won't delay it anyway, but they have been doing it earlier. Also, that they have to provide, not only the authority provide their budget to the county clerk, but Tanner Medical Center as well each year, so that y'all can see that they can continue to make the bond payments. You know, if you looked at the audit, the authority's budget, you couldn't necessarily see it. So we added the provision to have Tanner provide theirs as well. It also, if you ever request it, that they sit down and go through all of it with you. You know, that's always there too. It's the same thing with the 7 meals. They cannot borrow any money that in a single year their debt cannot be paid by the 7 meals. So it continues to be structured the same, it's just, and it's no new money, it's just refinancing that 2010 for those bonds. And then the last resolution that you have is to allow them to go forward with the, the pricing and moving forward with the issue, and it's pretty simple. Now, we'll come back once the pricing is done, okay? And I'm gonna let Gabe talk to y'all a little bit about the process, but y'all have been through this before. Again, it's no new money. And what will happen is Tuesday night we'll do this, then the POS will be completed and sent out. That's the preliminary official statement. There'll be rating calls with the rating agencies, and then the official statement will go out and they're selling the bonds, okay? Gabe.
Cynthia, thanks. I think you covered it very well. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Just to emphasize what Cynthia was saying here, this is no new money. It's just simply to save money for Tanner, and then also, save what you're contingently on the hook for under that 7 mil pledge. Now, the one thing I would like to add is, Tanner's a very strong health system. You've never had to pay under that 7 mil contract. So the way it's structured, they pay first, and you would only have to pay in the event that things turn dramatically different than they are right now, and that doesn't appear to be in the cards. Yeah. Exactly, and that was a good provision there, but just simply to save money, about 2.7 million of present values, the estimates right now. You never know until you actually price the bond, so we're going to watch the market. We're in the process of working with Don and your staff and Cynthia and Stacy to get the information together to do the preliminary official statement. We're going to talk to the rating agencies and then get in the market, hopefully late August, to go ahead and sell these bonds. And you'll have the opportunity to approve the final deal at that point, and I'll have final savings to present to you at that point. So no new money, just save money, not extent of the debt, just real straightforward. But if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer those.
Any questions?
Okay.
Gabe, as always, thank you.
Thank
Appreciate you coming down. Next, we'll call on item 8.4, Captain Ken Reeves, Sheriff's Office Patrol and Transportation, about purchase of vehicles.
Good evening. I'm here to make a request that the board approve the purchase of 7 patrol vehicles and 1 transport van. The cost on it's going to be $309,000. That's state contract price. It's a yearly thing that we do, but we're asking for your approval. You got any question?
Has it been 10 cars in the past?
It has been 10, but we can get by.
You dropped it to 9, and
Yeah. It was 10, 9, and this year 7, so,
And a van?
and a van, yes. Now, next year, it may be 10 again.
But guess
Well,
what?
I'm trying to work with you.
well, exactly. We appreciate you. You're kind of like,
It might be 5.
yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ken, as always. Item 8.5, Inmate Management System. We'll call on Warden Robert Jones.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I hate to come for you asking for money, but we have to do from time to time. We're currently working on an inmate management system that is approximately 15 years old. At the time it was purchased, the way I've been informed, it was at a cost of about $80,000 for this system. When it was purchased, they didn't purchase a management or a maintenance contract with it, so over the years it's became obsolete. And as you know, as technology gets obsolete, other technology can't talk to one another, which causes us to lose data. Losing this data is really not acceptable in the fact that it has a lot of inmates' personal information in it. Now, when I say we lose it, it's not off somewhere where somebody can get it and use it. It's just the fact that we're losing the information. It's being deleted off the system, which causes us to have to put the information back in the system, and it's just causing a lot of manpower. Additionally, the problem we're having is that this is the nucleus of how we keep accountability of our inmates through their movements and everything like that, what details they're assigned to and what details they've been taken off of. So we're in dire need of a new inmate management system. We think, we've talked to several companies, and we think we can do a new system that's more automated, which will help us with personnel. We think we can do it for around $100,000.
So what's the deal of, you don't have, there's not companies to compare, or do you all have a state requirement for a company, or did you just pick out the one you liked, or?
Right now, we have an RFP out on it. One company that has applied is the same company that the sheriff's office uses. So that's one that we've looked at. We've had several come in and actually show us their products, and we're just really waiting for those bids to come back in.
Oh, so you're asking for the money before you get a bid?
Or I'm letting you know about how much we think it's going to cost to get it done. We presented this earlier in the month, so I don't know where we are exactly on the RFP.
I think I can address that. I think purchasing is doing a
Talk
lot.
into that way.
Purchasing is doing a lot of double duties. The warden did get the information there. We created RFP. It did not get out until probably about a week and a half ago. And in order to get the 10 days in, we'll have the numbers Tuesday. Before there, I guess it's just kind of knowing the need, and then you'll have the number breakdown at the meeting. This is just kind of giving you kind of an information on that.
So Tuesday we'll have solid,
Tuesday,
good
you'll
news.
have-
Okay.
You have requests from
Right.
everybody and hard bids. And
Okay.
numbers, and a breakdown.
That makes a little more sense then.
Any other questions? And Warden, I hate to put you on the spot, but will you explain an update on your graduation? I'd like to go on record, hate to do this to you, but it's a fine time.
Oh, well, thank you. I recently completed the last course of a 400-hour course through the Georgia Law Enforcement Command College. It's the premier law enforcement school for the state. Carroll County has offered me the opportunity. I actually started this when I worked for the city of Adairsville as the chief of police there. And when I came on board, I spoke with the chairman, and he was in agreement that I needed to continue with this. It's a very prestigious club to be a part of once you complete it. Basically, the breakdown is you take 12 40-hour courses. They're a week long. The benefits you get post-training, which we all have to have as law enforcement officers every year. You get your post-training, and you obtain certain certificates through post. At the end of it, you receive a master's in public administration, which I completed that, so I was able to get my master's in public administration also. So it's a very good program. They have other programs for individuals who do not have bachelor's degrees to help them obtain those degrees that the Hope Scholarship helps pay for. Actually, we'll pay 100%. We were talking about this earlier. So I hope to be able to get my staff involved and get that. And I think that'll help us with retention and better training our officers. And I think it'll help lower our liability also. So.
Congratulations.
Absolutely, and we know that absolutely. The correction facilities, there's only 23 in the state, and they are becoming harder and harder to manage and run, and I appreciate you taking the opportunity, but now getting your staff and relaying that education status to them. So.
We're all about developing leaders and that plan of succession. We never know when we may leave or have to step out. We want people able to step right in and take over when you're absent. So that's what we're working on.
Thank you, Warden.
Thank you.
Item 8.6, we'll call on Chief Scott Blue for consideration of purchase of trucks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the Board of Commissioners. What I'm requesting the board to do is to consider continuing with the fleet replacement plan that we had put in place a few years back. We've got quotes from the Sutton Corporation, who we've already went through an extensive specification process with a couple years ago in buying some trucks, and would be a continuation of that. The initial price, the price per vehicle would be $450,871. After the third and fourth units, if we got, would have allowed discounts. The third unit would be $447,871, and the fourth unit would be $445,871. If we were able to purchase all four units, that would be a total of $1,795,484.
Any questions for Chief Blue?
Is this a regular pumper? I mean, a regular
Yes, these
fire
are
truck?
these
So
are the
we're talking
regular
about-
fire trucks, the Class A pumpers.
And Gerald, is this what's in the SPOS now that's been committed for?
This would be there, except for, one of them will be funded through insurance proceeds from the revenues.
Right, but, so two of them are what we,
Yes, one of them will be, we're gonna get the partial payment on one, so basically we'll have to fund just over 2.5 if we do have funds available. That would be part of the program that we have within the money set aside for
SPOS for that.
Does this has us on schedule, Scott, far as the
It's gonna put us pretty close to getting back on schedule. We fell back a year
Right.
last year, so this puts us back on schedule. The day we order it takes about a year from that day before you actually get it. So even looking at your funds, it'll be almost a year before you actually make those payments.
Right.
So are we talking about two, or what? How
Well,
many
there's four, but one of them should be totally funded through insurance.
Or at least the majority of it, we would think.
Majority of it. And then the other one, I don't know how we came out. Do we know on it?
Not yet, they're still negotiating.
So.
We're still waiting on that.
There was some,
After that one's negotiated, it will
Just be the difference.
just be the difference. And we'll know before we pay out. on it.
Yes.
Yeah, Commissioner Jackson, there was some, I guess, discussion as to whether they would repair it or total it. I do know from today, in talking to the manufacturer who they sent it to, and the adjuster came and they agreed that it needs to be totaled, that it was beyond repair.
Any other questions?
So are we talking two or four?
Asking for 4, with 2 being out of proceeds, 2 getting us on track, and 2 coming out of the balance of proceeds from insurance.
Okay.
We're replacing 2 and buying 2 new ones. And out of the 2 we're replacing, we're gonna get
Insurance
quite a
funds.
bit of
too.
insurance money. I don't guess it'll cover, but it's not gonna cover both of them, but
Right.
maybe 1.5, we're lucky, something like that.
And I don't think that'll ever happen again, will it?
I wish I could sit here and say that, but I don't want to jinx myself.
Okey-doke. Thank you.
Any questions for Chief? Chief, we thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank y'all.
Item 8.7, we'll call on Gerald Pilgrim, GMAS contract extension.
Board, this is the letter that you have in here from the Board of Assessors requesting to extend the contract, the GMAS contract, to include the commercial and industrial properties. There's about 3,800 or so parcels that will be included in this. And I believe this will help get the county where we'll be in compliance with state law on the process of trying to begin this process every 3 years. It's going to help with getting future consent orders that would relate to the industrial and commercial property. This comes as a recommendation from the Board of Assessors.
What will the contract extension cost?
It is
It was on that last one.
$278,750.
Okay, Gerald, you were saying every 3 years, so is it every 3 years we're gonna spend this money, or we're getting caught up?
No, this,
And then we're gonna have our current staff, if they're properly funded, to be able to go forward?
I think that's the goal of the assessors, is at this point, then they will be able to handle it within house, that the assessors then will start doing a third each year would be the ideal goal of commercial and residential.
Okay, I also would like to, I don't know if this goes in the contract or if it can just be in the minutes. I would like us as a board to do a better job of informing these businesses so they don't next July get their bill and wonder where it was. If there is some way, we as an organization, I'm sure Ben, he's not here, probably kill me for volunteering, but I know we have addresses of all our businesses that are, we have licenses for, and I'm sure the cities do, that we could at least send them a letter, letting them know, because there have been discussion from emails I've gotten that the people didn't come, or they just sat in the car. I mean, so I would like, even though these are not our employees, I would like to make sure we have a better check and balance system.
This would be very intensive, and it will take, I think, a lot of education, because you're going to have to get on. This isn't just going to be people that have business licenses. So just to be clear, I don't think that's it.
Okay.
This is if I have a zoned piece of property that's commercial, it's going to be that. So it's all those properties, and we do have those addresses, and I think it would be good for the assessor's office with GMAS, and I think they will come out and do better education and maybe do a presentation of what's going to be coming on, who's going to be coming here. I think last year was a learning method, and, I think we have experienced that, and I think Ms. Palmer, I'm surprised she's not on vacation.
I was gonna-
She's not had a lot happening in the last few days, but, Yes, I think that was well received, and that we do need a better job of educating what's going to be happening and notifying the information who's going to be out there.
Well, we're all getting beat up
Sure.
because the Board of Assessors is reassessing the properties, and everybody's taxes have gone up, and it's like, it's not our fault.
Well, and this process, I do not, in talking to the GMAS, it's something that, yes, it's something that they would like to get under contract and they're going to be doing, but I think we've got some time. There's a lot of, the assessor's office in the next month is going to be quite inundated, so I think we do that. Maybe have them they can come to the work session and explain, basically kind of give a recap to the board. I think they owe it to y'all. How did we get to this position?
Who
And I think
are you talking about?
GMAS and the Board of Assessors. But the GMAS, how do they get to their property values? I think that's one that they would be glad to.
Miss
and how they're
Palmer,
going to
Miss
the
Palmer
future.
can probably answer a lot of that if we need her. She's
And I think that would be a good presentation. I think over the next month, though.
And then present what they've done. Sure.
Kind of what happened and how the appeals process are going. And I think that's something that could be brought to the board.
Well, I
The
think-
way I understand this is, what's happened, and, clarify me if I'm wrong, what's happened is the Board of Assessors has reassessed all the residential properties.
Correct.
Not the commercial businesses and businesses. This
But
is
that's gonna be done.
This
That's
is the
what
other
this is for.
piece to where, we're not just gonna have residentials that are up to par. Now we're bringing the entire county. Would this cover every piece? When we say residential and commercial,
The
this gets
residential-
industrial, does this get everybody, Renee? It's gonna,
We did residential and agricultural this year,
right,
and, if this is approved, we'll do commercial and industrial next year, which will bring everybody, the only other things that are left are the personal property, mobile homes, and the non-taxable items.
okay,
Those are the only two other things.
okay,
But that'll bring everything out of a level playing field, and everything will be redone.
right,
Land values, everything,
right.
I
Come
almost
on,
think-
come on up, Renee.
I almost think the Board of Assessors should send out something or put it in the paper to explain what is going on, or
Yes,
whatever.
I just want us to be a little more, that's why I want to make sure this company understands, and Renee and I've had these conversations, because us homeowners have gotten hit, and we should have educated them 9 months ago that said they might still forget. But now the businesses, of which some of them are homeowners too, are gonna go, what, we're getting this again? So I think, let's not do a money surprise, let's let them know it's coming, so they're prepared.
Well, this'll be it'll be a whole new way of doing it, because right now, we have the WinGap system, and it is set up to do commercial and industrial, but unfortunately, we've never utilized the tables in there. So actually, what's been happening is we've been using Marshall and Swift, and that is another way of valuing commercial, industrial, and residential. And we've been inserting those values just as overrides into the system. So anytime we're depreciation or anything, you have to go back to the book, or Whitney does, she has to go back to that system and then come back and reinsert the values. This way, we're gonna move it all over to WinGap. It'll be all on the table system. It'll be so much easier to come up with the values that we need to come up with instead of having to rely on Marshall and Swift and buy that subscription and the computer system every year.
Well, but that's not the point of the main thing. The point is it's required by law.
Yes.
Is that that's our
You're
main point?
supposed to physically, you shall, that's the words it use, you shall visit every 3 years, every single parcel. It does not just include residential, agricultural, commercial, industrial. It also includes the personal property department, which is inventory and equipment on businesses. Those also are supposed to be redone every 3 years. She's supposed to be looking at those accounts and auditing right along, and she does the smaller accounts, personal property, but there's a lot to that.
So the commercial has not been done also for every 3 years like the residential had not been, that we were under consent order for.
Yes, ma'am. The land values were attempted to be redone. When we started trying to implement those, of course, the market was gone down the tubes at that point. That's really what happened to the residential and the agricultural. Do you want me to
No, no,
Okay.
I just want us to know that
Okay.
we're
Okay.
doing what the law tells us to do.
Yes, yes, and I'm real excited because hopefully in all this, and I've talked with, Mr. Smith and Mr. Pilgrim about that, is hopefully what we're gonna get is we're gonna get a commercial and industrial appraiser that we're gonna contract with GMAS to do, and they will come in and do all the commercial and industrial, because there's a tremendous amount of money there. And to keep that up and keep the tables up every year is gonna be a really hard thing to do. Because it's a lot more, like Mr. Pilgrim's talking about, it's a lot more in depth to go in there. Because we're not only just, you're talking about wall height and all kinds of things, this construction, the commercial instruction in.
So if this is done, I'm sorry, so if this is done by this company and gets everything caught up, then you all are gonna be able to maintain it.
I hope so, that's the hope.
Much gonna make it much easier too.
Yeah, I mean, but I mean, I gotta get appraisers in there too, because right now you're only working off 4 appraisers, and you're talking about 48,000 parcels. There is no way 10,000 parcels can be reviewed. Do you see what, I mean, so I've got 2 appraiser trainees coming in, and they're hired right now and they're training. So that's the beauty of it on residential and agricultural land.
I just don't want you to come back in 3 years and to say, oh, by the way, we're behind again. I wouldn't recommend that.
Technically, Vicki, you're right, a third, and it should add up. So we're gonna know at the end of 1 year before we get a 3-year.
Yeah,
Right.
basically,
Question.
what we're looking at right now, as soon as we finish these appeals,
It starts.
it'll start again, it'll be all
And then we'll
over
get
again.
constant reports, and we're gonna know where we are at the end of
Yes.
1 totally before year 2 and 3 gets here. So yes, you're right.
Yes.
And I might add, you just took this position over here
Yes.
recently, so as long as everybody knows, she's fixing a mess, but it wasn't hers.
Yeah, and that, my point is, we're trying to do things to make us in compliance with the law.
Yes.
And I don't know who's in there or not there, or whatever, it's just like, if we're gonna pay for it, and we're paying big money to have it done, we just need to stay there. Well,
Yeah.
So-
I'm
so who are you?
I'm the chief appraiser, I'm Renee Palmer.
Renee Palmer?
Palmer.
I'm
Very
sorry.
nice- Very nice to meet you, I've never
to
seen
meet
her
you.
before.
Well,
I just thought you picked her up off the street.
She's
been in the back row every month.
she's doing Sandy's job.
Yeah,
since
she took
Sandy
Sandy's
left.
position.
Okay.
And you've been with the county how long?
I've been with the county 36 years.
Oh.
And I've actually been an appraiser for over probably 30 years.
Oh, so you've been in that department?
Yes,
I
ma'am.
started out there
Oh,
in
okay.
1980, and then Miss Barnes wanted me in the tax commissioner's office, so I worked there 5 years, and then I moved back.
Okay, well,
I've been
Longevity,
here a long time.
welcome.
since she was 10.
Thank you.
Renee, thanks for the report.
Thank you.
Well, that and the only other item on the business session will be 9.1, and I'll be bringing that on Tuesday night. At this time, we don't go into zoning session. I was gonna ask any question from the board.
I would like to add to the agenda that we talk about Sunday sales and decide whether we're going to vote. Well, not decide. I would like for this board to make a decision one way or the other, because the people have come before us 2 years ago. The people have come before us again back in June, and I think they need a decision one way or the other, not just a continuance of, we're going to
So the
shelve this again. So my request is to put Sunday sales on the agenda for us to vote on.
Okay.
And I agree with that. I have been, and I don't know where they're coming from, but I have been bombarded with people who, they never said, they sent emails, and they said, we just want to be able to vote. They didn't say if they were for it, against it, or anything, but they said, we should have the right to vote, and make the decision. Now, and I don't know where, I don't know these people that have been, and then Fairfield is on a string of Facebook, and so that has just gotten long, everybody wants to vote, and that's what it says.
Yeah, I'm definitely not hearing any of that.
I'm against that too, because I feel like that, most cities, municipalities have already voted, and they're gonna be deciding for rural county people, and I'm against it.
So, but
Well,
you're-
we're not voting. The question, we need to decide if we're gonna put it on or not for Tuesday, is all we need to elect today.
I'd like Michelle to make a motion at the beginning of Tuesday to amend the agenda and have that put on there, and if she can get 4 votes, we'll put it
To
on
put
there.
it
I
on
think that's fair
for
enough.
Tuesday night.
Tuesday night.
Okay.
And I want to follow up, just,
No, I don't think that's what, I think we need to make a decision if something goes on the agenda or not,
there's two ways to get something on the agenda.
right?
The chairman can choose to put it on there.
Right.
Or somebody can, make a motion to amend the agenda, and if they've got 4 votes on here, it can be
Well,
put,
but we
placed
can
on
make
there.
a decision right now to put it on the
We,
agenda.
no, we can't.
Yes, we can.
No, we cannot. The
We have
chairman
had it.
either has that right to put it on there,
He
he can make a
You
decision,
can.
or Tuesday night, we can make a decision, but we cannot make a decision right now. He can. And so you can
Well,
talk to
then,
him
if
about it.
And if it doesn't go on this month, then we can make a decision to go on next month.
Well,
Thing
the-
about it
the
is, it
time-
needs to be
yeah,
We
we're not-
cannot do it next
yeah.
month. This is what it keeps boiling down to every single time. There is a deadline date when things can go on a ballot.
To be able to
because
get
they
it on
have
for
to be
November.
prepared and
We'll miss it
printed.
if we don't do it.
So
well, why
August
can't we just put it on an
5th is the
agenda
last
item?
time.
I have no
You have
problem.
you have the opportunity to do it.
Absolutely. I have no problem if y'all want to put it to a vote, to put it on the
We don't
agenda.
have to put it to a
Yeah.
vote. You
Are
can
you
make the
yes to put it
decision.
No, no,
To
no,
put
he's-
it on the vote for Tuesday night.
He will put it on the agenda.
I will
he
put
said.
it on there as of
Okay.
today. It'll be up to y'all to vote on it Tuesday night.
Okay,
I'm not blocking.
right,
Yeah.
that'd be great.
Here's-
Just put it on
here's-
the agenda.
And you know, while we've all had our, on our soapbox about it, I do want to follow up on what Tommy said and make sure that I'm clear to the ones that are here and the media as to my problem with it too. And it's not anything that we're doing. It's a state problem, as the way that's structured to vote. This is a question whether we allow Sunday sales in unincorporated Carroll County. That's the question. It's got nothing to do with the cities at all. They've already made their decisions. Almost every city, I think, except one in Carroll County, and my 2 little cities, Whitesburg and Rupel, have Sunday sales.
Passed it.
There's only one in Carroll
It's either
County.
Bowden or Mount Zion.
I think it's Mount Zion, does not allow it. So all the cities have decided, if, if this is a decision about unincorporated Carroll County, if only unincorporated Carroll County were the ones that were gonna go to the ballot and make the decisions in their backyard, I would have no problem putting it on the ballot. But the fact is that the cities who have already decided this issue in their backyards are gonna bombard and, in my opinion,
But they pay county taxes, everybody lives in
I
the county.
understand that
Anyway,
argument.
the thing-
I'm letting you
the
know
whole-
my position
the
on
whole
it,
thing
and why I
is-
don't support doing it
The
this way.
whole thing, people just want the right to vote.
Not,
And if you're keeping them from voting, that's all that they say, just let us vote on
If
it.
it's
That's
on-
all they
the
want.
people in my district, you may be hearing something inside the walls of Fairfield. The people in my district are adamant that they don't mind it going on the ballot as long as the cities don't get the vote. They feel like that it's none of the city's business what goes on out in the rural communities.
If it
So
goes on
you're
the
hearing a
ballot-
different story than me.
If
Well-
it goes on the ballot, there's no use in having a vote.
No, it's gonna pass.
Okay,
But when it's all said and done-
62% of Carroll County is unincorporated Carroll
I
County.
do not believe. You
Well,
show
I
me
will
a.
Monday night.
Well-
And second, you say the walls of District 5, I also operate on the borders of District 5. Your constituents come into my border, so I hear it on both ends.
Please-
I hear people who also have called me and asked me to not do it. I just think let them decide.
Right.
And we had the discussion at the retreat that I told you earlier last night. I was sorry you missed it because it was a good retreat, but we did discuss, and to coin Villarica, we are Carroll County. We all are Carroll County.
And just going on record.
I would like to
I'll-
ask this question.
We'll put it on the agenda. That way it gets to the point where Commissioner Morgan has asked for. But
Well,
do
people
know,
have asked for it, too.
absolutely, you're representing, and that's very respectful, because technically, we all represent the whole county,
Yes.
and not just our districts. By law, reading the state charter, as long as we do not affect any state law, we are charged with doing any ordinances or anything that we want to. The commission is charged in governing and policing of the county for the purpose of protecting, preserving the health, safety, welfare, and morals of the citizens of the county. I have to see it every day. Y'all do not do it, so I'm not influencing one way or the other. But when I look at what does it, because the emails I've gotten is we're missing out revenue. And I do understand that, because if we could use revenue, we all know we need it. We've been short budgeted for years. But if you look at the lost revenues, what does it have to create in revenues to be able to offset the deficit? Because I hate the probate court judge just left, because she was going to attest to it. Superior Court, State Court, Probate Court only made their funds simply because they're doing pistol and carry license. Juvenile and Drug Court. This definitely creates further crime. Ken, I think's already left with the Sheriff's Department. I talked to them today. For the broken homes and families that it has caused, I talked to the solicitor's office, the sheriff, and some of the cities today. We have over 300 cases come to us a year that's coming through our court system, alcohol-related. When I talked to GSP, GSP alone has written over 320 DUIs last year, and it's growing. Pathways that we support, 50% of their patients are alcohol-related. I just have a hard time. I don't restrict, and I don't think we as a board, we're not restricting drinking. It's just whether they can purchase or not. But as a board, Commissioner Morgan has asked for it to come. We'll put it on the agenda if everybody's good, and we'll bring it up Tuesday night.
I'm not good. I'll tell you another thing that this process does. Unless we've got one member of the media here, unless she gets this out very quickly, there's going to be a lot of people in this county that said this was snuck on the agenda at the last minute. There will be a lot of people who do not see this coming, won't know we're voting on it, and won't have an opportunity to express their opinion. I promise you that's going to happen. We just shortchanged, without giving them a month's notice on a major issue that's hung around this county for 20 years. Y'all are going to sneak it in 4 days.
It's not snuck in. The people came back in June. It was reported in the Times, Georgia, and according to our charter, 72 hours is all that is required.
I don't disagree with that, but morally, I think we owe it to the citizens to give the people who are opposed to this plenty of time to speak to their district commissioners. Unless she gets this in the paper tomorrow, it won't hit till Sunday.
You already know how you feel about
things.
It doesn't. I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about giving the citizens time enough to react to it.
They have till November to vote yes or no.
No, as to whether.
They have the right to vote. If you
They
watch
have
the
a
national
right to have a
news,
month's time to review an agenda or 2 or 3
hours is
weeks.
your charter.
I'd like to ask another question while we're asking questions. As a business owner in an unincorporated county, Carroll County, where you're not allowed Sunday sales in some of your stores, do you intend to vote on this?
Yes, because it's on the subject. It's on the issue of voting, the right to vote. It is not on the subject matter. You can put the same thing in and put in dogs, or you can put the same thing in and put in cats. It is the right to vote that I am voting on, the right to allow Carroll County registered citizens to vote. It is not on the subject matter, is why I am able to vote on this.
So you're not going to abstain?
I am not.
Okay.
I firmly believe, we had people come vote for us. I asked people, I begged people to come vote. I'm sure each of you did at some point. So it is about the right to vote. And I respect those that want to vote no, and I respect those that want to vote yes.
And that's all, that's what I've really gotten the pressure on, of people that want to vote. They want to make the decision on whether or not there are Sunday sales. That's it.
If they live in the city limits, they should not have that right. That's not for us to fix, but that's why I'm opposed to it.
Me too.
I'm done with it.
Yes.
Any other questions?
Yes, there are. How about some items to be put on a consent agenda?
That's not a bad idea at all.
How about 8.2, which is the DITEC MOU?
Well, let me ask right quick.
Yes.
I don't know if it was Cynthia or Stacy. Now, personally, DITAC, it's no secret, they're my neighbors, my dearest friends in the world. Should I need to abstain from this?
No.
As long as she's made it,
I just want to make sure that
Yes.
if it goes on the consent, I don't vote on anything.
as long as you make it aware to us as a board,
No, no problem.
No financial
So,
gain.
8.2, okay,
Yes, sir.
8.2. 8.3, which is the resolution, the revenue, Board of Commissioners for the intergovernmental agreement, that's with the
Tanner.
Hospital Authority in Tanner. Okay? 8.4 is the sheriff's 7. 8.6,
Inmate management.
we're skipping the inmate management because we need to
We'll know the
send
numbers.
bids.
Right.
The pumpers, if we're gonna do the 4 pumpers, and then,
GMAS.
GMAS on 8.7. How about those for a consent agenda?